Miraculous Ladybug is a show with all the potential in the world, but it often gets held back by the quote-unquote professional writers that are working on it. It's a universe that, as it gets more and more fleshed out, shows that it can rival other fictional universes out there. But stories often have plot holes, and Miraculous looks like honeycomb. I'm here to show you every single plot hole I've found in Miraculous Ladybug, along with some that have been quite infamous across internet forums. Some are minor inconsistencies that you can kind of let slide, while others are lore-breaking plot holes so big you could easily fit 10 Glossiators in there and still have some room for Stoneheart. Before we get started, I need to tell you what a plot hole is. The plot hole is an inconsistency in a story's logic that contradicts the rules that have been set up by the plot. People often confuse plot holes with contrivances or bad writing. So for example, Gabriel walking in to eavesdrop on Adrian while he just so happens to be on a call with Marinette and just so happens to say "Milady," and that's what tips him off that Adrian is Cat Noir, is a contrivance, not a plot hole. Also, I'd like to thank everyone for the recent support. The fact that we passed 500 subscribers about 3 days after my first upload, and as of recording I'm approaching 650, is amazing, and I want to give a giant thank you to all of you. So you watching this video, yes you, thank you. Now let's get on to the plot holes. Minor plot holes or inconsistencies. This includes minor errors in storytelling, plot contrivances, character and story inconsistencies, or egregious examples of lack of continuity. Starting off, let me ask you a question. When you remove a Miraculous, does the Kwame disappear or not? Some episodes say one, while some episodes say another. And I want to point out, I'm not talking about relinquishing a Kwame or basically giving up being its holder. I mean just removing the Miraculous. Does the Kwame disappear? Well, in Feast, we see Waze take off Adrian's ring and Marinette's earrings, and the Kwames disappear. But in Reflect All, Marinette and Adrian take off their Miraculous, and the Kwames didn't disappear. Both times this happened, they didn't relinquish their Miraculous. So, what's the big idea? In Roger Cop, why didn't Plag phase through Chloe's bracelet? The bracelet was stuck around his head, but we've seen Plag phase through walls before. It really makes no sense as to how he could forget this either, because he can just phase unknowingly. It's like walking to him. That's an entire akumatization that didn't need to happen. Why did Marinette volunteer her present self to be in the burrow for Alex's party? I know you could say, well, she wouldn't think that Chrysalis would suspect her being Ladybug just from her not being at the party. And while that is true, Marinette knows that this new Hawkmoth is a force to be reckoned with. The London special really showed how much the writers are going to make sure Chrysalis is an actual threat. It also shows that Marinette is a pretty good detective, being able to deduce that the person writing everything in a notebook has to be the new Hawkmoth just off the fact that they're writing in a notebook. For a character as smart as Marinette, wouldn't it make more sense to grab a future version of herself, place her at the party, and then return her to her normal time when the party's over, because 0 seconds would have elapsed? This is because she would have dropped off at the exact same time she got taken from. Future Marinette can now literally clear her name as being Ladybug, as Ladybug will be fighting while Marinette is at the party. The Kwames using their powers causing catastrophes is completely obsolete because Miraculous Ladybug fixes everything. And despite what the show has said, like in Destruction, any lucky charm turned into a Miraculous Ladybug can fix any damage done to the city. This can be seen in Derision, where Ladybug has to detransform and then retransform and call up another lucky charm that still fixes any damage. So the consequences really aren't that disastrous. All on the topic of Miraculous Ladybug, in Deflagration, why was Monarch so focused on getting the lucky charm Tiki made? We know any lucky charm can fix situations, so why didn't Monarch make Tiki use another lucky charm, or just unify Tiki and Nuru and make another lucky charm, and turn that into a Miraculous Monarch bug? That would fix the ring and Monarch gets his wish. While still talking about Miraculous Ladybug and going back to Destruction, Ladybug gets this completely wrong. She could easily detransform, retransform, and make another lucky charm, then turn that into a Miraculous Ladybug. This would fix Monarch's affliction, and she knows this because, as stated previously, she's done this before. The show makes it apparent that the holder of the Bunny Miraculous has to guard it from inside the burrow until Hawkmoth is defeated. In Dark Castle, Marinette even feels bad for Alex and holds herself responsible for this. But honestly, it isn't really that bad. Yes, you're gonna miss out on a lot, but it's not like it's actually going to cost you any time, because theoretically, Alex could go from Ladybug telling her she needs to guard the Bunny Miraculous to the defeat of Chrysalis in 1 second by fast forwarding a portal. I mean, she could have already done this and we'd never know. In Star Train, the passengers on the train, when they see Ladybug and Cat Noir, ask if they were passengers. Ladybug says that they both teleported onto the train using the Horse Miraculous, which is a good diversion. But why didn't they question the exact same scenario in Horrificator? The school was locked down covered in goo, and Cat Noir even says that he couldn't break through through it. So why did they not immediately question Ladybug and Cat Noir's arrival when there was nothing even obvious going on that would hint to the fact that there is an akumatized victim in the school? They also didn't question the fact that Ladybug knew Milen by name and knew the exact song that would calm her down. Ladybug says that after Gabriel made the wish, she went into aqua mode and searched the sewers for the butterfly Miraculous. But we see what happens after the wish in the London special, and we do not see Marinette search for the Miraculous. In Pixelator, we see two abilities that are never used again in Miraculous, to my knowledge. We see the fact that Ladybug's bug phone can literally dox people, as she looked up Vincent Ossa's name and immediately found his address. Like seriously, is every Miraculous communication device connected to Interpol's database? We also see Hawkmoth's ability to torture his akumatized victims, but correct me if I'm wrong, we never see this be used ever again. Whenever one of his creations doesn't do what he says, he only threatens to remove powers. Gabriel knows that all of the Miraculars go to the same school, the only exceptions being Luca and Kagami, who have very obvious ties to the school. If you want to say he doesn't, then I'd say he knows their identities and he can just dox them with this cane phone that we've never seen, but clearly every Miraculous has a way to communicate with each other, just like Ladybug did in Pixelator. And he definitely knows some of them by name, like he knows aliases are. Why didn't he investigate the only two in his son's class who seemingly don't have Miraculous, look suspiciously similar to Ladybug and Cat Noir, and oh, I don't know, love to transform in very obvious spots and yell out their transformation phrases at unnecessarily loud volumes? Gabe should have went invisible and followed one of them, or used Optigami again. This one's about quantum masking. I completely understand why Ladybug and Cat Noir or any other Miracular wouldn't recognize each other while transformed because of the suit's quantum masking. But how come they don't recognize each other's voices when they de-transform and talk to each other like the million times it happens in the show? If you say, well, they believe each other are completely different people so their brain ignores the connection, or some excuse like that, then explain why Gabriel made the connection of Adrian as Cat Noir off the word milady, or alias Sestao Nino as carapace from the word dude. If one word sets off red flags, a voice that sounds eerily similar to your best friend and classmate should have your brain going to DEFCON 1. In Ladybug, why did Ladybug choose to grab a fallen Cat Noir who we've seen be very durable and she's seen him live through worse, instead of following her pair of arch nemesis that are clearly vulnerable? God, I hate the writing in this show. So we've seen multiple times that Ladybug is standing still whenever she uses Lucky Charm, and instead of harping on every single villain for not attacking her during this, I'm only going to highlight the most egregious example I've seen. In Derision, Dark Humor shoots her yo-yo, and we see an intuition that he did this because Monarch told him to, but why not instead instruct him to shoot Ladybug, who is standing completely still during her casting animation? Why do I watch this show? In Desperado, we see the Bunny Miraculous show up in the Miracle Box and Marinette needs an ally, but at this moment in time it should be with Alex and not in the Miracle Box. Also, sometimes the Bunny Miraculous slot in the Miracle Box just doesn't open. Felix betrays Ladybug so he can get the Peacock Miraculous and secure his, Kagami's, and Adrian's lives, and he even has a hard time releasing the Red Moon from existence and emotion. But in representation, he makes a Sentimonster projector just to tell Marinette an unnecessarily long and dramatized version of his and Adrian's life story, and to reveal the fact that Gabriel is Monarch. Do akumatized victims get deakumatized when their object breaks, or after the Akuma is cleansed? In The Collector, Gabriel isn't deakumatized until after the Akuma is de-evilized, but in Gang of Secrets, they all get deakumatized as soon as the akumatized object is broken. So which one is it? In Cat Blanc, why didn't Hawkmoth use Adrian's Amok Ring to control Cat Blanc? This simple action would have avoided the destruction of, well, everything. For the final minor inconsistency or plot hole, it's just a simple question. Why does no one ever break the object that someone's holding when they get akumatized? We've seen in Migration that breaking the object holding the Akuma before you give in to becoming a villain can release the Akuma. So why isn't this commonplace for anyone who sees an akumatization? Two examples off the top of my head where this would have been mega useful is Cat Blanc and Elation. Moderate plot holes. While last section was full of plot contrivances, this one is going to be just straight up plot holes that aren't entirely lore breaking but are very questionable. Going back to Horrificator, when they're counting to make sure that they have everybody, Ladybug notices that Adrian didn't respond. That's when Cat Noir goes behind a pod and calls out. Except the suits provide quantum masking that makes their appearance and voice unrecognizable, so why was this able to work? In universe, this would have sounded like Cat Noir, not Adrian. In Destruction, it's stated that the Rooster Kwami cannot grant powers that another Kwami grants, which infuriates Gabriel, but it doesn't make sense as to why I would, because the Butterfly Miraculous can clearly grant powers of other Miraculous. This is seen in the London special or Timebreaker, where characters can time travel like the Bunny Miraculous. The plot hole here is a power discrepancy. Why can the Butterfly Miraculous grant powers from other Kwamis, like Cat Blanc's Infinite Destruction or Time Stalker's time travel ability, but the Rooster can't? Another power discrepancy is with the Goat. The Goat's ability is Genesis, where you can create whatever you want. Sounds like a better version of the Ladybug Miraculous, to be honest. It just lacks the overpowered ability that is Miraculous Ladybug. In Evolution, why didn't future Alex get unvenomed when she got detransformed by Cat Noir taking her Miraculous? In Passion, we clearly see Ladybug get venomed, and when Cat Noir takes her to the sewers and has Plagg remove her Miraculous, she gets unvenomed. So what gives? These two scenes are 6 episodes apart from each other. How could the writers mess this up? And before you say this should be in minor plot holes, I'd argue it's moderate because this problem directly results in Alex becoming Bunnix, because if 25-year-old Bunnix was available, they wouldn't need young Alex. In Kwame Buster, Cat Noir says that Mendeleev is from Francois DuPont High School, meaning he knows it's a high school. So why does Ladybug immediately believe he didn't know it was a high school when later he says he doesn't know what his Kwame was doing in an elementary school? If he got it right the first time, why would Ladybug believe him on the second time? The entire point of the Butterfly Miraculous is to grant powers of people using any emotion, not just negative ones. But if this is true, how was Lila able to absorb an Akuma with no prevalent emotion whatsoever in Chameleon? Yes, she was initially angry, but it immediately goes away when she sees the Akuma. And when negative emotions do go away, Akumas usually start to leave too. In Catalyst, Plagg uses his power of destruction and no catastrophe is caused. You might say, but he didn't use Cataclysm, and I would argue he doesn't have to because his power is destruction. Like any kind of destruction. We know his Kwame powers are flying, phasing, not being able to be photographed, etc. His powers, to our knowledge, does not include being able to destroy without a catastrophe. This breaks pre-established rules. In Dearest Family, Tiki uses Lucky Charm to make a giant galette, but the catastrophe she caused was destruction based. While it is often stated that Kwamis using their powers without a holder causes catastrophes and not a catastrophe related to their power, the show quite often shows that catastrophes are based off their power. Think Kalki causing monuments to teleport to random places, Plagg and Tiki triggering a creation destruction cycle, or Sass causing time to get jumbled up. In Ephemeral, Gabriel should not have sussed out Adrian as Cat Noir off the word Milady, because in Gorizilla he sees what appears to be Adrian and Cat Noir side by side. Maybe I'm forgetting something that happened in between those episodes, as they are 2 seasons apart, but Adrian using one word versus Adrian seemingly being next to Cat Noir are 2 contradicting events, and Gabriel making the deduction despite this is just too hard to believe. The Miraculous are said to be indestructible unless hit by Cataclysm, with the exception of the Peacock Miraculous, which was presumably damaged by lava near the Guardian's Temple. But if that's the case, why did Alex's watch break when it got ran over? It's a Miraculous. This shouldn't be enough to break him. It took Cat Noir's Cataclysm to get the Akuma out of Queen Bee's Miraculous, and a Cataclysm hitting Bunnix's umbrella only cracked her Miraculous. But yeah, a rollerblade will destroy one. In Sandboy, how did Fluff show up inside the Miracle Box if the Miraculous she's in is in camouflage mode? Meaning Fluff is technically not even awake, and all the while the watch is still with Alex. We clearly see that Gabriel knows how to make the wish because he ends up making it in the Aggressed Arc finale. But in Deflagration, he attempts to unify Tiki and Plagg, which is not required to make the wish. If you say it's because he wanted to get the Kwamis back near him, then I'd say that Gabriel knows how to lock Kwamis to his vicinity like he does with Nuru and Sandboy. Also, depending on who's writing the episode, taking off the Miraculous and putting it back on puts the Kwami right next to you. So Gabriel has no reason to unify Tiki and Plagg. Can Kwamis see what happens when their holder is transformed? In some episodes they can, and in some episodes they can't. For example, in Origins, Tiki asks Marinette if she captured the Akuma, but if she could see what's happening, then she wouldn't have asked. But in Weredad, Plagg starts teasing Adrian, saying that he finally has a girlfriend right after he detransformed. There are multiple examples for both, but I always go with the Kwamis not knowing what happens. In Oblivio, Tiki's memory is wiped when Ladybug gets hit by Oblivio, but in the Paris special she says that she has memories from the billions of parallel universes as she's lived in all of these. So did Oblivio just wipe the memories of every Tiki in every parallel universe, or what? Major plot holes. Get ready for lore-breaking plot holes that just should not exist. In Determination, Warner granted Manipula powers that are similar to Puppeteer with one difference. The wax statues also had the powers of the Miraculous, and Manipula had control of Waxy Bug and Wax Noir. So why didn't he make a wish with the Wax Miraculous? Well, they need the original Miraculous. Okay, then why didn't Marnock use Wax Bunnix, Bunwax? I don't know. Wax Bunnix's burrow to go to a time he knew the heroes were vulnerable, like in the Dark Owl, or Lady Wi-Fi, or Prime Queen. Or since he knows who Master Fu is, go to a time before he gave out the Miraculous to Ladybug and Cat Noir and ask Natalie to help him beat Fu and take the Miraculous. Then he could make his wish by trading Master Fu's life and someone random's life for Emily's life and Natalie's health. Then he could keep the entire Chinese miracle box full of every Miraculous and have the Grimoire. Or he could just take Ladybug and Cat Noir's Miraculous from the burrow, because we see in Dark Castle you can freeze time from the burrow and make changes. Meaning he could just pluck Ladybug's earrings and Cat Noir's ring off his finger, and to them it would just teleport off their body. How does this kind of a mistake happen? Also, just because if you think that Wax Bunnix being an illusion means she wasn't there, that's actually also a plot hole for two reasons. One, the synopsis says there's 17 goons, and there's 17 Miraculars, not including Argos, because Argos isn't even really a thing yet. And second, correct me if I'm wrong, but Bunnix isn't really known to the public. Like, Alex's class knows about Bunnix, but she's not a public-facing hero. Matter of fact, it's better to keep the knowledge of a time-traveling Miraculous hidden from the public for many reasons. So how does Manipula even have a wax statue of her, or an illusion of her? In Chameleon, if Lila could mimic the powers of Cat Noir's Miraculous, then that means she would also mimic its quantum masking. So couldn't she take off her own ring and see who Cat Noir is? If you say, well, she wanted the Cataclysm Ladybug because of how much he hates her, which is what happens in the episode, then there's a problem. Hawkmoth shouldn't let this slide. Hawkmoth should be threatening to remove her powers if she doesn't at least take off Sleeping Cat Noir's ring, or torturing her like he does the Pixelator. If you say, well, if she took it off then she wouldn't have Cat Noir's powers, well, couldn't she just kiss Sleeping Cat Noir again and become Cat Noir again? Imperfection. Kagami finds out Marinette is Ladybug, and since that episode, Kagami was akumatized twice as Repos Prime and Ryukomori. But Monarch never sensed that she knew Ladybug's identity, like when he akumatized Luca and sensed that he did know Ladybug and Cat Noir's identities. Either Monarch can sense this information or he can't. It can't be both at the same time. Yes, I'm well aware Monarch sensed it through Luca's struggle, but let's keep it a buck. The reason Kagami didn't struggle is because the writers hadn't written that she knew the information yet. It's just a very bad retcon. For the last plot hole of the video, I'm going to give one that is a massive hole in the Senti theory, even though Senti theory is canon. How could Natalie sense the Senti monster feast, but never sense the Senti monster they fight on a day-to-day basis, that being Cat Noir? They should be able to sense that Cat Noir is a Senti because they believe Cat Noir to be a different person entirely from Adrian. This also means Mayura or Shadow Moth should have released Cat Noir from existence the second they did sense it, because, you know, they're both using the Peacock Miraculous. I'm pretty sure you'd be more sensitive to sensing Senti monsters if you're using the Peacock Miraculous. Was this every single plot hole in Miraculous? No, because unfortunately I don't think I could actually catch every single one. But if there's any plot holes that I did miss, or if there's some moments of poor writing that you just really hate and want to get off your chest, then drop a comment, like, and subscribe.